the nuggets within this presentation today. So let's go into it. Let's dive in. So just a quick one as well. It is a very interactive session, so please, I need everybody's participation to proceed. It's very, very important that everybody participates with me through this process. Otherwise, it loses its impact as a safety coaching process that I need to explain and go through with everybody. So, without any further ado, who can tell me what movie this picture is from on the screen? Very famous movie.
The Matrix.
Thank you, Mark. Yes, it is The Matrix. So, The Matrix, why have I chosen The Matrix? So, The Matrix has very, very important parts within the movie that stick out for me. And that's the reason why I've chosen the theme of The Matrix. You will see as we go through the presentations that it'll make much more sense. So yes, let's go through, let's enjoy the journey together. So I'll also explain further with regards to the rabbit, which will come up shortly as well. So obviously you'll know who I am. I've been working in the HSE industry now for 17 years, and I've been employed as a corporate SHE manager, international blue chip companies, group SHE manager as well, and many other HSE related positions. I hold a NIBOSH International Diploma in Occupational Health and Safety, amongst many other qualifications and courses. And I'm a registered construction health and safety manager with HSE PCMP, also applying as an agent as well. So this is the agenda. We're going to look at, starting at the beginning, the different types of interventions there are, performance curve or the Bradley curve, human tendencies, filters, learnings and unlearning, the GROW model, which is a very, very vital component in this process, the inner game, excuse me, coaching potential, co-creating agreements, powerful questions, accountability, follow-up, and support and challenge. So let's start at the beginning. You are now embarking on a wonderful life journey that will change what you do in many ways. Sorry, I just want to stop my... All right, sorry. You are now embarking on a wonderful life journey that will change what you do in many ways and allow you to see who you really are inside. This may be scary sometimes and thrilling at others. One thing is for sure, you will know much more about yourself and you will have discovered a way to live and work which is beyond your present capacity. This is what coaching does, how it unlocks. It will help you coach others to change how they operate and reduce workplace accidents dramatically. What is necessary for you to begin this journey is that you decide to do the work, and I hope I can help you to better understand coaching and unlock your true potential. So remember one of the most famous parts for me in the movie, when Morpheus speaks to Neo. He says to him, take the blue pill, and I'm saying it a bit differently obviously, and everything stays the same. You wake up tomorrow morning and you forget this conversation happened. And then he says to him, take the red pill and I'll take you down the rabbit hole into coaching, and you will stay in Wonderland, and I will show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. So let's go deeper into the rabbit hole together. So has everybody taken the red pill before we continue? Can I please have a yes or a hands up from everybody? Because if you're going to take the blue pill, then you can leave the coaching session now and you can forget that this session ever started. So can I have a few yeses from everybody, please, that you've taken
yes,
the red pill?
Yes, red pill, definitely.
Thank you, Mark. Anybody else that's taken their red pill?
Yeah, it's hard to go down. It's Said.
Thanks, Said. Okay. So let's go on. So starting at the beginning. So my coaching journey started on the 8th of February 2020, very recently. So I'm still a novice, all right? Before I participated in a 2 full-day coaching workshop, I thought I was already coaching. After completing the 2 days, I felt like I wish I knew this information years ago. And now that I know it, I wanted others to experience it as well. Sorry about that. I wanted others to experience it as well, because I know it can help people become better, and it does definitely prevent accidents as well. So when I had excuse me, I had completed the coaching workshop, it changed my whole perception about coaching and its profound impact that it can have, not only in safety, but in life in general, which actually led me to start coaching my children at home, trying to change my approach of how I deal with them and not using the old-fashioned way of doing things, but I tried a different approach with them. And I can tell you, even that on a personal level, that has helped me and it's worked with my kids. So I will start by laying the foundation of coaching and then link it with safety as well. Because ultimately we are safety professionals, HSE professionals, and we need to see how coaching links to safety. So I hope that this 1 hour session has its intended impact on you, and everyone wants to become safety coaches to their coachees, a term which is used in the coaching fraternity for somebody who is coached. So without any further ado, let's dive in. I'd like to ask, please, from everybody, what is your understanding of coaching? Just in a one-liner or a few words you can mention. What is coaching? What does it mean to you? And I can't proceed without having answers, so please, I need a few answers from you guys. And not only Saeed and Mark, please, there's a lot of other attendees. Can we please get a few answers from you guys? What does coaching mean? When you hear coaching, what do you think of?
Just a perception from my side, Fabian.
Mm-hmm.
Helping another realize their full potential.
Very good one, very good one. Anything else? Anybody else? Good one, Damien. At least one more person. Come on, guys. Don't be scared. Don't be nervous. We don't bite.
Good morning.
Hello, Fabian.
Hi, good day.
Hello, how are you? Maybe just to come in, I think coaching mainly you are looking at helping someone to learn rather than teaching them. You want them to understand something so that they can implement it.
Okay, thank you. That's a very, very good one. So I think you got it. You hit the nail on the head. Coaching is unlocking a person's potential to maximize their own performance. It helps them learn rather than teaching them. So I don't know if you read this on my notes or where you found it, but you hit the nail exactly on the head. This is what coaching is all about. It's about unlocking person's potential and maximizing their own performance. And I'll explain to you as we go deeper into it for you to understand how does it all unravel? What is this coaching story all about? So you can't see my notes, eh? I'm just checking. Okay, so the different types of interventions that we have. So I don't know if you remember in the Matrix, Neo and his team used to be plugged into the Matrix to get back into it. And then they used to come out by using the phone. We need to get rewired ourselves as coaches. And it's easy once you have seen the light. Okay? So let's look at a few of these different interventions. So we talk about mentoring. So mentoring is advice, training, knowledge transfer. That's what mentoring is all about. And again, guys, this information, I haven't pulled it out of Fabian's hat. It is items that I got off the internet, all right? What is consulting? So consulting is pertaining to analysis and recommendation. So code eye reviews, and afterwards the consultants will give you recommendations, etc., based on the analysis and findings that they found, that they've picked up. Next, we have counseling. Guys, if I can ask, just please, if you can switch off your videos, just for data saving purposes, please. Thank you. Next, we have counseling, which is pertaining to personal psychological problems and guidance. And next we look at psychotherapy. Psychotherapy deals with past experience, self-reflection and treatment, which obviously can also be medical treatments as well. And then we have coaching, which is goals, strengths, potential, insights, and an action. These are very, very important aspects to remember when it comes to coaching. A goal is one of the key elements in a coaching process, and I'll explain to you later as we go in deeper as well. Okay. So this is the performance curve or Bradley curve, which is from DuPont. I think everybody within the safety fraternity that's been around long enough has seen this Bradley curve. So in many organizations, especially the smaller ones, if you look at on the left-hand side, the injury rates, it is always higher in these companies compared to those that are on the other end of the spectrum at the interdependent organization. So when you're looking at the reactive organization, if I ask anybody, let's not ask a couple of the senior guys, but let's ask some of the lesser experienced or cultured personnel within the HSE department or fraternity. What is your understanding of a reactive organization? Anybody? What is your understanding of a reactive organization? Okay, Damien, if you don't mind jumping in there.
I would say, Fabian, in a nutshell, waiting for things to happen and then acting afterwards. Hence, reactive. Something must happen first and then you act afterwards.
Perfect.
Proactive. Yeah.
Perfect answer. So that's the thing. The reactive organization deals heavily with compliance with the law. So very compliance driven to a law, a lot of them. Delegated to the safety and health or SHE manager. And there's a lack of management involvement in these departments. So you find this obviously a lot in the smaller companies, but there are the odd few medium and larger companies as well where we see this. And I'm sure many of you guys have also seen this within these companies. Next, we have the dependent organization. So the dependent organization is management are committed. There's many rules and procedures within the organization. They are very focused on training and supervisory control, and they work off fear and discipline. Okay. So again, these also have their positives and they have a lot of negatives to them as well. Because many of these organizations, you find that they don't reach their full potential because they are too dependent on certain individuals. Okay. It's the same with the next one, very similar with the independent organization. Now, if I ask anybody, what does independent organization mean? What does it mean to a person, to anybody? Anybody? We have a very tough crowd today. Ladies and gentlemen, please, I need your assistance in this process. It's an interactive session that we're going to have today together. So I need your involvement in this process. So can I have anybody that can tell me, in their opinion, you're not going to be shot if you're wrong. What is your understanding of an independent organization? Okay, nobody. All right. So an independent organization is one that is looking at, which is seen as some of the larger companies as well within the industry. So you have your independent organization, which is internalization, cares for self, practice habits, increased communication. So there are, as I said, some positives within these different organizations and their cultures, but very, very limited, especially on the previous three, and we'll go into the interdependent organization. So cares for self is a selfish process. These are where the silos are concerned. These are the organizations that are operating in silos that Damien has mentioned. that Saeed has mentioned on the previous discussions as well on their sharings. We're talking about the silos. So when we go on to the interdependent organization, this is where every company should strive to be or should be at as much as possible. This is safety is shared as an organization of value. We look at it cares for others, not selfish, not only thinking about yourself and your own department or your own friends within your company. It is a team ownership driven organization. It has organizational pride and it is open to communication. So all of this is going to link into the coaching. Don't think that I'm just giving you all a training session on the Bradley curve for no reason. You will all see how it all links together and how open communication, ladies and gentlemen, is so vital within this process and how coaching can assist to unlock this. Okay. So next we have a silent exercise. So I think most of you will be able to do this quite well since you're all being a bit silent in this process. So please, I would like you all to do the following with me, okay? Please close your eyes and imagine you standing in front of a worker who is always working unsafely. There's always that one painful person that we know on a job. This person is always taking shortcuts, always fooling around, not serious about the job, not serious about working safely. Just close your eyes and imagine this person that's now standing in front of you now. Okay. Now, think to yourself that this person is a problem. Okay. Please continue keeping your eyes closed. Let's just visualize this thought that's happening now, right? So now that you've thought, hey, this person is a problem, how does this person make you feel when you look at them, knowing that, hey, this person is a problem? I'm sure you felt it already a couple of times. You walked in a passage and you've seen this person. And it's like, hey, I don't want to talk to this person. Or, you know, this is the last person that I want to bump into for today. And then you see this person. And then you have these feelings or you have these thoughts. Now, one last request, please. Now, imagine this person, excuse me, standing in front of you, is on a learning journey of life and has challenges and obstacles to overcome along the way. As a coach, we want to help people overcome these challenges and obstacles along their way to greatness. This is what a coach does when they see people. Now, visualize it and imagine how we've been seeing things, how we've been seeing people all these years, our approaches, our mentalities, the way we do things, which we feel has been right for all these years. And now you're visualizing this person and seeing them as, no, this person is not a problem. This person has a problem or has challenges and obstacles that I want to do to help this person to overcome these obstacles and challenges. And that is the rewiring and the mindset change that we as coaches need to have. So in the Matrix, when Neo becomes aware of his powers, I think you'll remember the part where he gets shot, he gets killed by the agent, and then he wakes up and the agent shoots at him and he stops the bullets in mid-air. He stops the bullets with his hand like they were nothing. Likewise, when we people become conscious of their awareness and they as coaches identify the solutions for themselves, then they understand it's their own responsibility to fix it. It becomes more of a personal and ultimately it is owned by them. So in a nutshell, what does this mean? If I tell you to do something, is it your own? Is it something that you figured out or thought of on your own? If I tell you, Damien, how to resolve your issue at work with your boss, will that resolve, will that feel like a personal thing that you've identified within yourself if I tell you how to fix this problem?
Man, I guess the manner in which you speak and the tone would apply, but for me, finding some connection with that person to highlight, you actually feel what they feel and understand what they feel, and then take it from there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. But let's say you having a discussion with me, and I tell you, I ask you some questions, and you figure out a solution of how to fix the problem with your boss on your own. What will feel better to you?
The fact that they were able to figure out the problem with the boss.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, added to that most likely, if he's faced with the same situation again, he'll be able to handle it, most likely without me.
There we go. So you've already identified the potential that making somebody aware of their inner potential of identifying the problem on their own, how much better it feels firstly to that person because they feel owned, like they own the idea. And thereafter, it's easier for them to identify and to try and fix a problem on their own because you've shown them or unlocked the potential for them to find that problem on their own. Okay. So next we look at non-judgmental awareness that is satisfying. So why do we say this? We say non-judgmental as a coach, we see through new lenses. We don't judge the person. It becomes satisfying to us because we stop seeing problems. We see people on a learning journey that is with us, ready to coach them from what they are doing, to unlocking their true potential, to overcome and become safer and better employees and obviously better people as well. Because as I said, even when you go into coaching itself, besides only the safety elements of coaching, when you understand the power that coaching has, you start identifying how it can be utilized in so many other parts within your own life as well. How you can self-coach, how you can coach others with their situations and concerns or problems that they face. Okay, so I just would like everybody to please watch this video. The next video is by a gentleman by the name of Sir John Whitmore. He's actually late, passed away a few years back. He is one of the gurus when it comes to coaching. He's written a few good books. And I would just like everybody to please watch this video, pay attention, and at the end, I'd like to ask a couple of questions. So please, ladies and gentlemen, I need a few of you to answer because otherwise it defeats the purpose of even showing you this video. But I really would like you all to pay attention in watching this and for you all to understand what Sir John Whitmore is doing in this video, okay? And everybody, yeah?
Line up down this wall, yeah, so you can watch what's...
Ask, don't tell. Simple as it sounds, that's the message. To illustrate it, John is going to allow one accomplished golfer in the group to take a volunteer and tell them how to hit the ball, while John himself attempts to get another novice swinging effectively by doing nothing more than asking questions.
A swing at a couple of them.
First of all, your feet should be roughly shoulders apart. Okay? So just stand like that. Yes, but that foot actually...
Just imagine yourself trying to cope with all the instructions Lindsay is about to receive.
You've got to grip the club. Or hold your hands open like that. Okay? And put your fingers over the golf club so the thumbs are in line with the arms. And get your arms straight. Now, move your hands down the club a little. And the small finger at the back, can you just lock it over like that? Okay, now, I don't know what that finger's supposed to be in line with your arm. So put that over like that. So come. No, that's right. Let's come around outside. So you're in line, okay? Now what I'd like you to do is just swing at that ball. And then we'll take it from there. Go on, swing.
Meanwhile, instead of telling Mandy, John coaches her by just asking her questions.
Just to find out what you notice when you're swinging at the ball? Where are you paying attention, what you're looking at, what you're feeling, anything that you notice when you go ahead and do this, yeah? Okay?
I wanted to hit the ball.
Okay, so
I was more or less concentrating on the ball.
you're concentrating on seeing the ball?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Weigh up for yourself the advantages and disadvantages of these contrasting coaching techniques. The two key things John's trying to achieve with his questions are raising awareness and generating responsibility.
Just tell me what part of your body feels more awkward than the rest. You might want to divide yourself in two and start off by saying, well, arms and shoulders. Let's see how that feels this time. Then next time we'll check out below the waist. That's it. Okay? So just tell me what's going on this time.
It doesn't feel sort of very fluid.
Doesn't feel very fluid. Okay.
Feels I'm making an effort to do it.
Feels you're making an effort. So you would like to hit the ball in a fluid way, is that right? Okay. So let's make a fluidness scale, all right? The 10 is very fluid and 0 is very awkward, all right? Let's just tell me where this is on that scale. Just hit this one and tell me where it is on the scale.
About 5.
About 5, okay.
Now keep that side, imagine that side being against a wall. So keep it straight. And if you're swinging back, then hit, remembering that side is flat against the wall. Okay? Right, now just go back a bit. Your shoulders need to be straight. You've got one shoulder down like that, okay? So can you keep both shoulders still and your head down looking at the ball? Okay? Now, can you also bend your knees a bit?
What else would you like to do? What would be the next step for you? Is there some other area of discomfort, or would you like to add in something? Next step for improvement for you. If you wanted something else in your golf, what would it be?
I'd like to do one of those nice sort of high ones.
You'd like to hit it high?
Hit it high, a powerful one.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's come back to our scale again. Let's just make a scale so we know what we're working with. Hit one and then tell me where that is on your power scale with 10 high.
Oh. 6.
Okay.
It's more like it.
Oh, don't worry.
By the time this session finished, Mandy and Lindsay were both hitting the ball much better than when they started. But Mandy had reached her success through a process in her control which she shaped and, most importantly, which she now owns. Because she made her own discoveries, the experience had a big impact on her. You can almost feel the pleasure she gets from acquiring a new skill.
More or less straight.
Yeah. Got it.
You've done it, haven't you? Again. Can't believe this. Oh, well done.
Well, you looked as if you really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I did. It was absolutely amazing. I can't believe that he could make me even hit the ball properly, let alone do anything else. It was incredible.
Did he make you do it?
No, he didn't. No.
Who was doing it?
Me.
Yeah. Was he telling you how to do it?
No, not at all. He didn't tell me how to do it at all. He just made me more aware of what I was actually doing. It's incredible.
Okay, thank you everybody. Can we get a few people please to share their opinion or what they've observed from this video today, please?
Fabian, it's Saeed here. Let the other gentleman go first, and I'll go after.
Sorry, Fabian, it's Mark here. I mean, that's an amazing video. Just the confidence that you build into a person's life, just following Sir John Whitmore's way of doing things. It's fantastic.
Thank you, Mark. Go ahead, Syed.
Okay, mine is more of an observation of if we have all these and it's not a new process, why do we still maintain the negative approach to coaching? and I'm giving a clear example. For example, our induction, our training. Why do we still prescribe to the old methods that the one coach was giving guys 3, 4, 5 hour induction sessions, no interaction, where the raising of the awareness, generating responsibility, clearly has shown us that it pays dividends. It's a question I've asked there. We even clients, consultants, agents question the methods used for training the workers. Why are we questioning if these methods show that it's beneficial? And maybe we put it to a parking lot where we discuss in future,
Yeah. No, true. Good point. Thanks, Said. And yes, you're very correct in what you said and what you've asked as well. Munya, I see your hand was also up. Can you please go ahead?
Fabian, I don't know if you can hear me. It's Manas, yeah?
Hi, Manas, go ahead.
Yes, I think in my view of the video, and taking as well from, the brief introduction that you just gave, there are 2 ways, there are several ways of coaching. And as we could see on the video, one was demonstrating, was showing or telling exactly how to do it to get a technique, when the other one was just saying, express yourself.
Asking questions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the other example perhaps I can give, it's, you mentioned about your kids. The way you educate your kids is not the same way I educate my kids. For example, my firstborn, the way I educated him and the rest of the other 2 is that, if something is hot, I would not tell them to say, listen, be careful, it's hot. I let them go and test it by themselves, because I know the next time they're not going to do it. So again, it's different way of coaching. That's my view.
Thank you, Manasseh. Much appreciated, brother. I think Damien, your hand was also up. You can go ahead.
Thanks, Fabian. That's an awesome video, man. Really awesome. So I definitely agree with Mark. Just a few points on my side, and as I was listening to that video, I'm actually replaying life examples, the telling part, too many instructions, difficult to remember, no understanding, do this, do that, do this, but you have no understanding as to why you must do all of these things. And the instructor doesn't know whether this makes you feel comfortable or not, or what's your comfort zone there. Whereas the asking allows for understanding, and not just from Mandy's side, but Johnny himself, to understand where it's coming from, and then understanding that he guides her forward with that, giving him something to work with within her, and I think the ultimate result is, as she was getting better, she was feeling that joy of success in her achievement. Just to Said's point, man, which is something that I always ask myself as well, Mr. Mansour. It's really crazy. And something, as you were speaking, is 2 questions that came to mind is when it comes to doing things the old way, even though the result is not as good as if you just change the approach. Is that, do you want to see someone succeed when you are coaching, or are you just doing your job? And I think depending on how you answer that question will determine how effective your results are. Because I find that even in the safety space, there are many people just doing their job.
And those are the people that take the blue pill. Those that take the red pill are those that want to go down this road and do it the right way, because they know the end results is positive. And as a coach, it's so good as well, Damien, what you mentioned, because as a coach, when you've helped somebody to achieve their goal, Even if it's a small goal and you see that joy within that person, it gives you a fulfillment inside you that you feel happy within yourself that, hey, I've helped this person, I've imparted something, or I've just nudged them in the right direction to get them the results of what they were looking for, you know? And that in itself is something to be happy about, you know? So yeah, I think we can discuss this topic for hours, but I need to go on, otherwise we're going to be a little bit later than planned. So if there's no other questions or statements, I'd just like to proceed to the next slide. If there's anybody that wants to share quickly. Okay, there's nobody. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, for your interactions and your sharing as well. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, hello.
Hello, Fabian.
Hi, yes, you can go ahead.
It's Dube here. I just wanted to comment. The video is quite educative. Thank you very much. I think what I'm picking from the video are the benefits of coaching versus instructions.
Here we go.
Yeah. What I just overall, as I was just now thinking, looking at the video, I'm picking when you identify an individual, you make them understand their potential.
Mm-hmm.
Then you also make them understand that there is a deficiency or a problem.
Mm-hmm.
You also arouse the willingness to close that gap. I think that's what the video summarizes. Thank you very much for the video.
No problem, Fabian. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your interaction and your comments. Okay, so next we're going to touch on a few important aspects that we need to understand about coaching, because we need to understand the human being as to how we operate. And this will also answer some of your questions as well, Said and Damien, with regards to why these things don't ever materialize or things don't happen. So let's look at a few of them. When people tell us their problems, gentlemen and ladies, what is normally the first thing that we want to do when somebody comes and tells us their problem? Anybody? What's the first thing that we as humans like to do? If somebody comes to you, Manasseh, and says to you, hey, I'm having this problem at home with my son. He doesn't want to listen to my wife when I'm away, when I'm at home, then he's only listening. What is the first thing that comes to your mind that we would want to do in that situation?
Depending again, Fabian, I think some of us, you know, depending on the individual, but most of the time I would say some of the people that try to sit in your space, trying to understand exactly the challenges that you are facing at the house. And in normal cases, we'll share experiences or the way we address the issues within, you know, let's say my house. If it's a case of a domestic, you know, related issue, I think that would be my response.
Thank you, Manasseh. So I will show you exactly what we're talking about. So what are we trying to do as well as humans? We have a tendency to want to fix problems. We're problem solvers. A lot of us get paid to solve problems. So we feel that we can help everybody by solving their problems. Next, we start feeling sorry for that person. Hey, you know, my wife, I understand this guy's wife is going through a tough time with the son at home. Maybe he has a drug addiction. Hey, maybe he must do this. You know, we start feeling sorry for the people. We start wanting to give them ideas as to how to fix their problem. Next, we start wanting to offer them ideas. Then we start looking at needing to contribute, because it's our human nature. We always want to be seen and heard, a lot of people. And then we start relating to that person and to that problem that they're going through. Then we start wanting to understand their problem and their concern that they're going through. We start judging them, or we start liking the situation or the person of what they are faced with, what they are doing. We then start feeling responsible to an extent. Some people start feeling some form of responsibility. I need to help this person now with this problem. I need to get them to get past the situation. And then we start comparing. Okay? We start comparing them to ourselves. So when people tell us their problems, as I mentioned, we always want to try and fix the people's problems for them. As humans, we have many of these tendencies, which we call human tendencies, which clouds our judgment and does not allow us to see past the fog. We want to take everyone's monkey onto our shoulders, and we end up with the loads of burdens when their load and burdens is their own to bear. It is our task to assist them to get the monkey off their own shoulders, but they must do the work. Remember in the Matrix as well, there was those twin figures that was always worrying Neo and his friends, you can say his friends, the Morpheus, etc. And those were like the antiviruses. In our system, our human tendencies, we need to utilize our antiviruses to get our human tendencies out of it when we're dealing with coaching. And I'm going to explain to you the reasons why I'm mentioning this. So I mentioned previously about do not take other people's monkeys on our shoulders. And in the training that we attended, the 2-day workshop, this was something that also stood out to many of us. And it was something that we always remembered, excuse me, even after the coaching session. Don't take other people's monkeys onto your shoulders. And it's an easy way to remember it by saying, if you have a problem, you come to me with your problem. If I take your problem and I make it my own, I am taking ownership of your problem, and I've taken your burden and your monkey and I put it onto my own shoulders. So we always joked around with it and said to the guys, whenever they tried to come and give us something else that wasn't what we're supposed to do, an extra activity, we always joked with each other and we always say, hey, don't give me your monkey, keep your monkey, you know? So this is something that we utilize to remember in coaching, that every time you're performing a coaching, it is not your duty to resolve this person's problem. It is your job to nudge them along, to develop them, to get them to a level of progression where they have achieved their goals. And that's ultimately what we as coaches are there to perform. Okay? So continuing with the human aspects, we're looking at filters and listening. So our listening is filtered through what memories, beliefs, interests, assumptions, past experiences, attitudes, expectations, bias, values, and images of the past and the future. Our filters cloud our ability to listen with attention, curiosity, and empathy. And why do we think that's the case, ladies and gentlemen? Can anybody tell me why do we think that because of the filters and what we have in us, we don't really listen to the people properly? Does anybody agree with that? If I get a foreman, for an example, that I know that I've told him 10 times about housekeeping in his area, and I come to him on the 11th day, and I come to his area, and I see 1 or 2 papers on the floor, and the bulk of the area is clean, it's looking good, and I come to him, what is the first thing when that guy talks to me and he says to me, hey, sorry, sir, it was windy today, and I think the wind blew the papers around because my guys did housekeeping in the morning, and I made sure that it was done because I remembered you asked me to do it, or I remember that I said I was going to do it. When that person has spoken to us, because of our past history with the same individual, we turn around and we say, yeah, but your area is still looking terrible. We're not looking at the fact that this person has done a good job. We're looking at the situation of the past and the images and the memories and what we remember in the past experience with the same individual, which is, again, looking at a person through a judging eye, okay? So in coaching, we need to remember to change our lenses. If it's putting on contact lenses, then that's what it is. But it is a non-judgmental approach. The inner game. Does anybody know of the inner game or heard of the inner game? Anybody? Anybody read any books regarding this? Okay, nobody. So the inner game sorry, just adding a few people that's joining fairly late. The inner game is a concept or an idea from a gentleman by the name of Timothy Galway. He has written many books on this, and one of his famous ones is titled The Inner Game of Work, but he's done a few: Inner Game of Golf, Inner Game of tennis, etc. So what is the inner game? In every human being, in every human endeavor, there are two arenas of engagement, the outer and the inner. Can anybody tell me what they feel or think is the outer game? Anybody?
I guess what you see in the physical, Fabian, perhaps?
There we go. Thank you, Damien. So the outer game is played on the external arena to overcome external obstacles to reach an external goal. So if I have to ask you, what do you think the inner game is? I know I've already given you the quote that I've put up there of his, but what does it ultimately mean to somebody to be faced with the inner game obstacles that you would be faced? Where would you be facing that situation?
I think on my side, Fabian, I would say the inner game should be, the fear that we have on, sharing, some challenges that we have individually. So I would believe that.
Excellent answer, Manasseh. So the inner game takes place within the mind of a person and is faced against such obstacles. So what are the obstacles? You mentioned one of them, Manasseh: fear, self-doubt, lapses in focus, and limiting concepts or assumptions. So the inner game is a proven method to overcome the self-imposed obstacles that prevent an individual or team from assessing their full potential. So we read his statements as: the opponent within one's own head is more daunting than the one on the other side of the net. This was an extract from his book on the inner game of tennis. And then he says, a primary goal of coaching is to eliminate the internal obstacles to performance, learning, and enjoyment. Okay, so it's going to make a bit more sense to you as well what I'm mentioning, right? So we look at P equals P minus I. Has anybody seen this before? So P stands for, P equals your potential minus the interference. So your performance equals potential minus interference. Can anybody give me a few examples of what they feel is an interference besides fear that we mentioned above? A few other examples of what can be an interference in your inner game, in your mind.
Confidence.
Lack of confidence, that's it. Okay, so your performance is equal to what you are capable of when you remove the obstacles. So what obstacles are holding a person back? What's creating that interference in a person's life or job or their activity that they're performing unsafely with? With your company that usurps your potential and prevents the performance that you are truly capable of doing. Interference can be in all shapes and forms. Example, lack of knowledge, personal bias. You can have a bad boss or experience with a bad boss. Your own procrastination. This is a very, very important one. When it comes to self-coaching, self-own procrastination is one of our biggest interferences, and it stunts our growth and our performance. Okay? Because we are procrastinating within ourselves. Not to put too fine a point on it, what's nice about this equation is that it breaks it down into common problems that sometimes we just can't seem to get this done. Why? So you have 3 chunks that they call them, right? So chunk 1 looks at the performance. This is your goal or your objective. Okay, chunk 2 is looking at the potential, what we are capable of, or what a human being is capable of. What is the coachee capable of? When you're looking at chunk 3, we're looking at interferences or barriers, blockades, and obstructions. Okay, so now I'm going to give you a sample of a solution of how we can fix these problems. The solution to your problem lies in either you modifying potential or you eliminating the interferences. Everybody understand what I'm saying here? The solution to this problem lies in either modifying potential or eliminating interferences. So in other words, if your potential of your experience and knowledge and understanding is at a certain level, how would you get to the next level? How would one get to the next level if your potential is holding you back based on your knowledge and experience on something?
Education.
Educate yourself. Thank you, Damien. So you educate yourself, you learn, you practice, you develop yourself. And if you remove the interferences, so I was practicing early on before we started the session, and I said it's an example of a fear, an example of a fear. If a person has a fear of drowning and one day decides, you know what, I'm going to go and I want to learn how to swim. That person learns how to swim. They now are confident in being able to swim. They have now increased their potential, which allows them to swim. The interference part of the fear is no longer or should no longer be a factor to that person, knowing that I will not drown anymore. You understand? So that's how you need to look at it pertaining to how you can get the results of a performance at the end of the day. So if there are no apparent obstacles, you know that you need to improve your skills, as we've mentioned. So your solution for some will be found in learning, reading, practicing, etc., as mentioned by Damien. Thank you. Saeed, your hand is up. I just want to quickly read this quote and then you can ask your question. So, grow potential and reduce self-interference. Don't just be a doer in life. Whatever you are doing, learn, evolve, and maximize your enjoyment of the limited time you are given. Another quote by Tim Galway. You can go ahead, Said.
Yeah, I think what's important as a coach is you to know that everyone has potential, and as a coach is to actually harness that potential. So in many of us, we actually that inner fear or that internal fear drives us. You know, I'm not good enough. And I'll take a typical example. The essential skills in many of us in terms of talking, being able to present, is a major interference in the growth in the safety profession, or I would say in leadership. So as coaches, you need to drive this awareness amongst people that they have the potential, they can do it. And I like what you mentioned earlier. There's no right and wrong. Because everybody starts at point zero on the ground. And the more you learn, the more you do, the more it comes to you, the more you actually going to raise your game. You know, so I think that's very important from a coach to always harness that potential, you know, and in the video that you shared, it's clear in terms of the questions you ask. More than telling somebody, instructing them, coaches ask those questions that brings out this pleasant atmosphere.
That's it. Thank you, Said. Much appreciated.
Thanks.
Okay, so moving along. So learning and unlearning. Excuse me. A coach needs to learn new skills and, more importantly, unlearn the human tendencies and filters. and filters. So, as we mentioned before, that we need to learn new coaching skills and unlearn our human tendencies to not cloud our judgments and to get ourselves rewired. We need to filter out and listen intently or conscientiously and focus on what the person is actually saying. Excuse me. Imagine having a conversation with somebody who's not really showing any interest in what you are saying. How does that make you feel? And that's a question to somebody. How does that make you feel? We're having a conversation with somebody and you can see this person is not even interested. Maybe they're busy on their cell phone, or they're not even showing you any eye contact or showing you any interest. How does that make you feel? Anybody? And this is not a safety professional question. This is a question in life.
Yeah, Fabian, I think that's one of the most destructive things. I mean, that's I would say it's one of the barriers for the presenter. Let's say I'm the one talking now, as you're saying, and someone else is busy on the phone and so forth. It's very destructive and discouraging.
Yes.
You know, it shows that the other person who's supposed to be, you know, maybe paying attention or receiving, has no interest. I think that would be, has no interest on the conversation or the topic that we're about to have.
Yes, that's true. I see we got a few other hands up. Please, you can go ahead. So we have 3 participants' hands raised. Okay, so thanks Manasseh for that. It's true. So it's the same with us as coaches. When we identify, when we are coaching somebody in that situation, or a person is coming and he's talking to us about their problem, and you whistling or you looking away from that person, you're not even interested in what they're saying. Do you think that person will even want to engage with you any further on this topic, or even on a safety related issue that they're having a problem with on site, and you walk past this person and you're showing this person like you're not even interested? Hey, let me just check. I got a WhatsApp message. I need to respond to my wife quickly. I'll get to your situation just now. And that's the kind of approaches that some people have. And it sounds like it's not really true, but it happens. I've seen it in many occasions, especially with the safety. I call them safety professionals because they are, but they are not interested. They don't have the drive and the heart for this job. So many a time you see that this is what people end up doing. So next we have an exercise, and I'm going to explain to you all as we go through the process. I'm going to explain this. So you and your family are planning a vacation. All right. So I've chosen a holiday destination. You're going to Singapore. You look at how much time do you have for this trip? How much money do you have? Who is planned to go? And then you look at it and you say, okay, how many days leave do I have available to me? Do I have enough money for this trip? And then you start saying, okay, how will we go? Will we go by hotel? Will we go by plane? Will we stay in a hotel or with a family member or friend? How long will we go for? And what will we do when we get there? What will we eat, etc.? These are all questions that we would ask ourselves based on the situation that we are going on a family trip together to Singapore. And lastly, we book our tickets online, we check our visa requirements, etc. We book our hotel, and we exchange our rands into Singapore dollars, and we buy a few new clothes, and we go on our trip to Singapore. So what have I demonstrated? I've demonstrated in just a simple example of what is the GROW model. Excuse me, gentlemen, ladies, I just need to answer this. These people are not going to stop with this phone. Give me a second. I need to answer the line. Give me 1 second, please. Sorry about that. It was the housekeeping. Excuse me. Okay. So what I've demonstrated quickly is an example of a GROW model, and I'm going to touch on the GROW model now. I just wanted to explain to you all that in a simple process of planning a trip to go overseas with your family, you follow a similar setup, and I'll explain to you how the GROW model actually looks like, and how it works and how it relates again to safety. So the GROW model, we look at the goal. What do you want? The reality, where, are you now? The options, which is O, what could you do? And you look at the will, what will you do? So the GROW model is a profound work of genius in coaching. But yet it is so simple because we do this within our own lives and we don't even realize it. We as coaches help others to achieve their goals by following a simple process like GROW. Let me see if there's anyone to volunteer with me to do a quick safety GROW process with them. So can I have a volunteer, please, with anybody just to do a quick demonstration of how I would conduct a GROW safety engagement? Do I have any volunteer? Ramon, I saw you joining early on. Do you mind having a exercise with me?
No problem, go ahead.
Who's it? Manasseh? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so the scenario is a simple one, Manasseh. You are the supervisor. You are performing some excavation or about to perform some excavation works. So I'm going to conduct a GROW model approach with you as a safety coach. Okay? Right. So good afternoon, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm very good, thank you. Good afternoon to you too.
Thank you, man. If you don't mind, can I discuss the job with you and the goal with you and your team that you are performing here today?
Please go ahead, and please just make it quick because I have we need to finish this job.
Yeah. You're always rushing. No, but you see, so the first point was we have a co-created agreement and we have an acknowledgement by him as the supervisor of the team, right? I'm just giving you a bit of information while we're busy with the process. So thank you for allowing me to chat with you guys today. I see that you and your team are ready for the job at hand and you have your full PPE on, which is great. Always good to start with something positive and always to keep the conversation positive between you and the coachee. So now your response to my statements, Manasseh.
Yes, sir.
I'm saying I've mentioned to you, I've spoken to you, and I said, hey, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you guys. I see that you guys are wearing your PPE, that everything, that the area looks nice and neat, and that you are looking ready and prepared for your job at hand.
All right, thank you. It's the culture here within our organization that all individuals, they have to be ready to perform their task or daily tasks.
That's great.
And of course, we do have as well the assistance from the safety team within the organization or the project.
That is great, sir. Thank you very much. If I may, I'd like to ask you, what is your goal? So what is the goal that you are planning on doing here now today with you and your team?
The main goal here is to complete the work safely, without any delays, without, as I mentioned, safety, but without any delays and no injuries that may delay the process of us achieving, the 10-meter excavation that we need to, complete today.
Thank you. That's excellent. If I may ask, how are you planning on doing this job today?
Well, the planning from our side was to ensure that only the people that are going to be performing the work is people that have been trained, they've been well there, the communication has been there, and that we have equipment, proper equipment that will make sure that our work is not delayed, and whatever obstacles that we may encounter since at the excavation, we know how to deal with it. So that's our plan, is that to make sure that no underground utilities are affected by our tasks, and by using as well, proper equipment to identify that.
That's excellent, sir. You actually answered a couple of my questions that I had for you, but you've answered them perfectly. So who are your trained professionals that you have currently within your team?
Right. We All of them, the ones that are working, are trained. However, in their different categories, we have the guys that are digging using shovels. Those that only do the digging, and of course, we have the guys that they'll use machinery, and of course the flagman, of which is the standby gentleman that is there. Is more as well aware of on how to use the equipment to identify underground utilities. In a nutshell, I would say all of them, they've undergone the training for underground utility.
Excellent. Okay, and what are some of the safety documentation that are required for you to perform this job now today?
Right. Number one is the excavation checklist. The second one, the excavation checklist will identify all the other documents underneath there, or other requirements, of which is what type of equipment that we need to use. Do we need to do a mechanical, or do we need to do only hand excavation? Of course, your pre-start, let's say toolbox stock or DSTIs, needs to be communicated and address all the risks and hazards within that area. In particular, the underground, the possible underground utilities. What else is the area? How are we supposed to be keeping the area safe? Of course, it's excavation, so obviously we need barricading, solid barricading that would stand, whatever impact, any impact. And of course, the risk assessment is one of the things. Although I did mention the minimum assessment, but the main risk assessment for the task needs to be there. And of course, the permit prior we start. We need the permit.
Excellent. No, that's excellent. Do you know if there's any servitude under where you need to excavate?
Yeah, so far we've been notified of a communication cable, and that's our with the limit. We've got a limited number. Normally, whenever we work, we have a huge number of people working on this small area. But this time around, in order for us to control it properly, we have a limited number of people, of 4 guys that are here, well trained, and with a supervisor, of course, to make sure, plus a safety officer that is here to continuously remind us about how we perform the activity.
That's excellent. I can really see that you've well prepared, well versed in this process, and I can see that you're definitely going to perform this task in a safe manner. If I may, what procedures are you utilizing for this activity?
The procedure that we're utilizing here, it's excavation procedure.
Very good.
That's the main one that we're using here.
Oh, that's excellent. And as you mentioned previously, have you looked at the other options of mechanical as well as hand? And you've mentioned already that you've considered the hand utilization for digging, and mechanical will also be done in that process. Okay, so I appreciate that. Is there also, where have you identified, so this is a point where I'm just explaining something here. Just give me 1 second, Manasseh. I want to just go into a little bit of detail in this. This is also where we identify safety hazards. So identify a few points. For an example, all right, I'm using this as an example, right? So you're digging an excavation. What are the hazards associated with this function? So I'm asking you that question now. Give me a few examples of the hazards associated with this function of excavation, deep excavation. I know you mentioned a few, but just give 1 or 2 extra. It's just for the purpose of the example.
Okay, it's possible gases that we may encounter. That's one of them. Well, I mentioned already the underground utility. The type of the soil as well, because we can start with the hard how can I say, a hard type of soil, but then underground, then you find soft and or muddy or so forth. So that's one of the other, potential, hazard that we can perhaps.
No, excellent. Okay, so as well in this part, it's normally where we would be looking for hazards and risks between us, and something that they might have missed as well in the process, right? So what are the mitigations that you all have thought of to prevent any of these accidents? So normally the guys would say, okay, as you've mentioned, we got relevant documentation is in place, we got trained personnel, we got barricading, we need to ensure that the area is barricaded, etc. But in that time when you are standing there, maybe you observe that the barricading material is not available. You do not tell them that the barricading material is not available. What you ask them is, you've mentioned a hazard of personnel or equipment falling into an excavation, a deep excavation. What are the mitigations that we would do to prevent that from becoming an accident? So I'm asking you that question as if there's no barricading material available at the time that you're going to do this job. So now you are... Yeah.
The first instant on my side would be, of course, to pull up one of the guys that we have on, within the area, to just monitor the people, to say, look, monitor the people and vehicles. So what we normally call as your flagman. I mean, we don't have a barricade, but then we can use someone just to monitor, those movements of people and vehicles.
Excellent. So in this process, because we're doing an example, when you come into a real life situation, I'm just explaining, and you come to an area where you identify that there's something that is lacking. As a coach, it is our responsibility, as much as you can possibly do not tell the person what they are lacking or what's lacking in that area or in that activity. So I asked the question pertaining to what is the potential. You've mentioned somebody can fall into the excavation. How do we prevent a person from falling into the excavation? You've mentioned you'd have a standby or a person standing by to ensure that nobody comes close to the area. But we know that we should still have hard barricading. So you ask them the question for them to become aware of the deficiency or the lack of what they're supposed to have in place for that activity. And that's the purpose. So once that person becomes aware, hey, I forgot the barricading material, it is something that they within themselves feel responsible for and ownership for, because he's himself identified a need for the barricading to close off that excavation. Okay? And once we've done that, we now look at the W, which is the will. Now we'll say, okay, Manasseh, you and your team, who will do what within the process to make this area safe? And then obviously you will start telling me, okay, the flagman will do what, the supervisor or the foreman will do X, the excavator operator will do this, there'll be a spotter to ensure that he doesn't hit the cable, blah, 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 right? We go through that process. Then we say, how will you ensure that this is being done? How will you ensure that this is being done?
We ensure it by, obviously, the supervisor that is there.
Which is you in this case, yeah.
will ensure that, each individual that has been assigned for the task performs the task as instructed or as told. I think that's how we will ensure the
compliance. Okay. The compliance. And then obviously you can ask, how will you communicate this to your team, etc. So what we also call is what comes into play here now, and that's basically an engagement that is done with a team, where you've come to a team and you've identified maybe everything is excellent, but the time that you take to engage with that team, to ask them the relevant questions, to make them aware of what they need, how many people they need to do the job, what's their processes, what documentation are they going to utilize. You've asked the questions that they in themselves, you saw that not once did I say to him, what permits are you utilizing for this job? I never asked what documentation, risk assessments do you need for this job. Manasseh was saying it on his own. He mentioned the permits, he mentioned the DSCI, the mini risk assessments and those things. That was self-aware and self-brought up in that process. And that's the same thing that we've utilized in the coaching approach when it comes to this, of how we do a grow model approach and an engagement. And then we have what is called a follow-up. So in a follow-up, we say, do you mind if I check in on you later to verify that this is being done? So it's once again a co-created agreement between me and that supervisor and his team. And then I asked them, can I rely on your team for someone to please come and contact me to show me that this thing has been completed? And therefore, we've co-created in an agreement of what they indicate that they will do. I have not told them to go and put barricading around the excavation. I have brought it into their attention by asking powerful or relevant questions applicable to the task of what is being performed. Okay, so that is an example. Thank you, Manasseh, very much for your assistance in this example. But this is more or less of how you would conduct a grow model safety engagement with a team and a supervisor. So, do you remember the scene in The Matrix when Neo was being taught by Morpheus how to fight? And do you remember how hard he went at Neo? So the question would be, why was Morpheus fighting so hard against somebody that was seen as a novice? Can anybody tell me?
Hi, Fabian.
Hi.
Yes, I would like to just say, I think it's because of potential. Obviously, he saw potential in him.
That's it. So he saw the potential in him, but Neo obviously didn't yet see the potential in himself. So he went hard at him to get his full potential out of that person. Thank you, Roman. Okay, so coaching is not about being comfortable, ladies and gentlemen. It is about pushing a person from the performance comfort zone, which is the blue area, to the area which we call the potential learning zone, which was stretching a person beyond their potential of what they would get out of themselves. It's like me, when I go to the gym and I train, I will maybe run a 1 kilometer run and I'll walk for another 1 kilometer. But if I go with the gentleman that I train with or one of the coaches, they will push me to run 2 kilometers and walk 2 kilometers, you know? So it's always that point of pushing us further, and that's ultimately what coaching is about. It's about pushing people to achieve more, to grow, and to reach their goals. So I've mentioned quickly about co-created agreements previously. So in coaching, we learned that we need to co-create agreements. So what does this mean to anyone? As I've previously explained, is that this is where we set our boundaries on how far we can push our coachees and what they do as coachees and how they get to achieving what they are going to achieve. So there's a there's a difference between it. You know, when we talk about coaching a coachee, it's normally a personal level, it's a professional agreement between two parties, etc. And in the field, when we're doing a similar co-created approach, we have that where we make them feel that you are the important person in this process. That me as your coach am trying to get you to overcome a situation of what you are faced with, and I am trying to get you to a much better situation or better place of where you can be. So what is discussed between the coach and coachee is always kept in confidentiality. Okay? This is a relationship that is built on trust and agreed from the beginning. Ladies and gentlemen, hear me what I'm saying with this, please. If you're meeting a person in the yard and you are a coach and you're coaching this person and you're developing this person, because this is a life journey that this person is being developed on. If a person comes and tells you a personal situation that they've experienced or something that's happened in their life, etc., it is not for you to go and tell your friend and say, hey, during lunch, hey, this person, I met him on site and this is what they told me. If that person hears about this situation or what you went to, will this person ever be able to trust you again as a coach? Anybody?
No.
Thank you, Mark. No, they will never be able to trust you again. Okay, that's not a powerful question that I asked. That's an open-ended question. But the point is that we need to make sure that between the coach and the coachee, it is confidential, and that you make that person know that they can trust you enough to tell you their deepest, darkest secrets, okay? Because sometimes you might be working with a colleague that might need to be coached in a specific area that they're going through within their lives, or they want to be coached out of smoking cigarettes, you know? Or they have a personal problem at home or a health issue. Imagine that person telling you and you go and blurt it out to somebody else. That person hears about it. You can even lose that person's friendship because of not being able to keep that information confidential. So powerful questions. And this is what Saeed mentioned as well, with not so much powerful questions, but the questioning, the part of it that stuck out a lot from the video that I showed previously with Sir Whitmore. And his explanation of it as well was that the one was asking the questions, the other one was instructing and telling the person. And I think Dube and Damien, etc., they all had a similar awareness or alertness from that video. So what is the purpose of powerful questions? It is to direct attention to direct the attention of the coachee, to have the coachee be aware and take responsibility. It is to evoke strengths, potential, and possibility. Focus on the person, not the topic. And within a construction aspect, it's short, open-ended. It's what and how and not why. Why do we not use the word why when it comes to coaching? Does anybody know? Any opinions on why we would not use why in a coaching process or an engagement? Nobody willing to throw their money in the hat?
Fabian, can I throw one there? I think why is always considered like a very judgmental question, you know. So whenever you ask why, people always assume that you're judging them. You've already come with a perception that you've identified a problem. So It's very judgmental when you ask them.
Perfect answer, Ramon. Thank you. So that's exactly the answer. Why is seen as a judgmental question. It is always seen as a negative. So in coaching, we always remember that we want to create an environment of positivity and as much as possible, leave the negative aspects out of it. Otherwise, it defeats the purpose of a coaching engagement and the purpose of what we're trying to achieve. So so a powerful question is a question that is based upon what you have heard the other person say as well. So what you hear, sometimes we need to listen, as I mentioned before, carefully to a person so that we do not miss the nuggets that that person can also be giving us. I'll give you an example. I had a coaching session with a colleague about 2 weeks ago. And in this coaching session, this lady was speaking more than allowing me the opportunity to ask a lot of powerful questions. But when I asked the powerful questions, I asked about 2 or 3 powerful questions. It was amazing when she became aware of the situation because of how I'd asked her those questions and how she became aware at the end of the day what the actual issue really was within the situation that she was going through. And she said to me at the end of the session, she says, wow, it was you didn't ask me a lot of questions in the session, but the few questions that you asked me were perfect, and it unlocked what she needed to unlock and to allow for that potential to grow within herself and for her to find out what she needed to do to get to the next level of her potential and to improve on that situation within herself. So that's why I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, it's not only about asking 100,000 questions. It's about asking powerful questions and asking questions that make people think. We always talk about the iceberg in safety. In coaching, it's a similar approach. We want to get to the person's out inner core and get past the facade of what we're seeing in front of us, okay? Of the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg, when underneath there's a whole massive iceberg underneath this water that we do not see. So, active listening. Active listening is a valuable technique that requires the listener to thoroughly absorb and understand, respond, and retain what is being said. To hone your active listening, learn more about the 6 different skills. So I'm just giving you all again, ladies and gentlemen, some nuggets for you all to go back and read and to learn and to develop yourself in these areas, especially if you want to continue this process of coaching. So the big 6 active listening skills, what we learn is paying attention. As we mentioned, don't fidget, don't look around, don't play with your phone. Put your phone in your pocket. If you're a man, if you're a lady, keep your phone in your bag. You know, don't make sure that you are paying attention to what this person is telling you. Withhold judgment. Again, put on the lenses of a non-judgmental approach. We look at reflecting on what this person is saying. Ask that person clarification questions as well. So you reflect on the points and then you also clarify with them. Don't make assumptions within yourself. Oh, this person must be a drunkie. You know, hey, that's why they always come into work late. Yeah, no, I think I smelled liquor on this person's mouth the other day as well. You know, that's that judgmental mentality that we are so prone to, our human tendencies to go back to. And therefore, it is blocking us out from actively listening, because we're already making judgments within ourselves and we're talking within our own heads while this person is speaking, and we're not actually actively listening and participating in what that person is saying. Summarizing at the end of it is summarizing the discussion, the points, and how we are going forward, or how this person is going forward after this information has been shared with you, based on what you've understood, the questions, the powerful questions you've asked them. You've gone through the grow model processes, etc., that the person has identified the things within themselves, and they have, at the end of the day, said, I will do this. And then you obviously go back and you share between you and that person what you've heard, what you've listened, and make sure that that person understands you and you understand that person, that at the end of the day, there's no ambiguity between each other during that coaching session that is being conducted as well. So again, there's different levels of coaching sessions. There's some coaching sessions, like the engagement process that I did with Manasseh, which would be done within 5 to 10 minutes. There's another coaching session that can take you 1 hour, because this person is a problem child. In your head, you tell yourself this person is a problem child, but you know that you are now seeing it in a different mindset and a non-judgmental way, to say that I want to help this person to become better and to overcome those obstacles within this person in their life journey that I am willing to work with them on. And that's why I say some sessions might be 3 hours. You know, it all depends on the situation. So as a coach, you learn this. And some coaching sessions you can do after hours. You can do them via similar processes like Skype or Zoom or whatever the case may be. So it's different ways that you need to deal with different situations. Some of them are quick 5-10 minutes engagements. Boom, boom, boom. You go through the grow process. You engage, then you're done. The person tells you what they will do. The team is happy. You shake on it and you go back. If there's a follow-up you need to do on the team, you follow up, or you get them to call you, come back and verify that everything has been done. You thank them for it, keep up the excellent work, and you go on your merry way. Okay, so that's the process also of active listening, excuse me. Okay, then we have action, planning, and accountability. So I'm going to just mention a few of them that I've put down. So what we talk about is SMART or SMARTer. When we look at action, planning, and accountability within the process as to what are we going to do and when it must be done by, and how will I know that it has been done. We look at the SMARTer approach, which is specific. Do you know the goal that you want to achieve right now, or this person wants to achieve right now? You look at the M, which is meaningful. How will this impact your life right now, or this situation right now? You look at the A, which is achievable. Can this be done right now with your resources and with your drive to get this done? When you're looking at the action planning, the action parts of the process. Then we look at the R, which is relevant. Is this relevant to your small goals, to help you achieve your main goal? We look at the T, which is time bound, is measured, and to see that your targets that you are setting for yourself, you are achieving those targets. Otherwise, I mean, if you set a target and say by next week I want to have read a specific book, and you come next week and you haven't even read page 1, it means that obviously within yourself, your time that you gave yourself to reach that goal was not sufficient enough for you to read a 1,000-page a book, which we have 10 minutes to read for in the evening, for an example. Just an example, right? Then we look at the evaluating. Evaluate. Once you evaluate your smaller goals or that person's smaller goals, you will look at it and say that, is this person slacking or are they winning in this process? So when you are looking at the action parts of it and the smarter process of evaluating, even within yourself, you say, I've given myself this target to read this book by next week, Monday. I come on the Monday, I've read half the book. I can say, yes, I've achieved majority of what I had planned to do, which was good, but I have not completed the book as yet, so I will continue to push for another week, and hopefully I'll have this book read and done by. Okay? Then we look at the R from smarter, the last letter, which is to readjust. Ask yourself, is this method or process working for me? I keep hitting a brick wall, and how else can I get this done and modify your smaller goals? Follow this process yourself or as a coach on a coachee, and I guarantee you that you will see some results, because we hold people accountable. And that's the point that I wanted to mention. The action part of it and the planning part of it is the writing down of your plan. Okay? The accountability part of it is how this person says that I will do this, when will it be done, and how will I know that it's done? So there's a follow-up process, or you will send me proof that it's done. Thank you very much. I know that now. I can trust that you have done what you said you're going to do. So even if you're imagining you're working with colleagues or you're working with subcontractors and you work with them with a similar approach, you go through the same engagement process with them and you say, okay, you said that you're going to do this, you're going to do it by this date. Come this date, how will I know that you have done it on this date? No, sir, I will email it to you. Okay, thank you. I will verify. I'll keep a calendar tracker on my calendar, my Outlook, to pop up and say, okay, this person said they're going to email me the hire for the excavation activity. It still hasn't come. You contact the person and say, but why haven't you sent it to me? So I am keeping a track on that person to make sure that I've evaluated and measured them. And at the end of the day, did I get the result that I was looking for from that person? Okay, so we can go into some lead safe engagements. That's also going to be quite long, so I'm just going to touch on a few of these. So coaching, we have what we call observing, recognizing, approving, and lastly, agree and accountability. So this is now based on the feedback model. So the feedback model is basically looking at an unsafe situation. Okay, so an unsafe act is taking place in the yard or on the site when you're walking up to a person at the site. And how does the process go? So you prepare the feedback conversation and you obviously stop the unsafe work immediately. You ask permission to give feedback to the person, and obviously that's the co-creation of the co-created agreement. You find a safe place to sit together or to stand and to talk, and then you continue the process. So you ask them the questions to raise their awareness. For an example, what did you observe or notice about what you did? I'm not going to a person and saying, hey, I saw you working at heights. You never tie your safety harness. No, I'm asking him a question based on what did I observe. So I'm asking you, what did you observe or notice about what you did? Then you ask, what are the risks to you and others that you can see in this specific area? Oh, sir, no, I didn't see that I could fall or that the ladder wasn't tied up, etc. Okay, so you've identified those. Okay, good. Then you recognize, so you encourage focus on the positives. Okay, as I mentioned in the start with the example with Manasseh as well, that we did a similar coaching process on that was, now we are primarily focusing on what we're seeing that is something wrong. But we will always start with something positive. Hey, my friend, come down. What was the toolbox talk for today? No, that the discussion was on PPE compliance. Okay, so you remembered. Well done. That's good. But what were you doing up on the roof now? What activity were you performing? Now I was doing this. Then you ask the questions, right? So that's how you would go about the process. Focusing on the positive and also looking at the person's strengths where possible. And then obviously you look at improving. Encourage responsibility. If you could do it again, what would you do differently? You ask the question to that person. This is an example of what you can do. And I personally feel that you could stretch yourself a little bit more in certain areas when it comes to working at heights. Do you agree with me? Yes, no, sir, I agree with you. Okay, so that's something of how we're working with that improvement of that process. And then lastly, we look at the agreeing and accountability. So we define the next steps. Examples would be, what is the next step? So what will you do the next time you're doing a specific job like what you are performing today? Oh no, sir, I will make sure that I wear a harness. I will do this. My friends will also make sure that I'll make sure that they are also wearing a harness. So now you've raised that awareness within themselves and you are agreeing now on the accountability. And then you ask them, how will we know that this has worked together? And then obviously the person will come back and say, you'll see me next time, sir, or I'll shout at you when I see you walking past and I'll show you that I'm wearing my safety harness, you know? And that's the kind of agreement and accountability that you want to see in people. And ladies and gentlemen, I've seen this with myself and even at Kusile, where people would call me afterwards, even before I did my coaching, people would call me afterwards and say, sir, you found me yesterday without a harness on, or you found me yesterday working on a red tag scaffolding. See today, the scaffolding is green today. Oh, well done, thank you. Make sure you keep it up. You know, it's that reiteration and that reformation, informing them as well on the specific topics or the points that you are positively recognizing what they have done. So we support and we challenge, we're empowering people, we're offering support to them, we're challenging them. The 3 rules that we always remember in coaching as well as trust the coachee, trust the process, and trust yourself, okay? So before we close, I just want to mention or read out another one of Sir John Whitmore's, one of his famous quotes. We must see people in terms of their future potential, not their past performance. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So without any further ado, we can go into questions or statements. I'm done with my presentation.
If I may, Fabian.
No problem. You can go ahead.
Wow, I just want to say thank you very much, man. Very, very insightful. You know, even in the work that I do, I'm sitting here and taking notes as well. While I really sit with my notebook anyway.
Okay, stuff, Fabian.
So very much on point. So much learnings. A few things I particularly like, and most likely it's something that I do most likely, but not conscious, or not, or I do unconsciously, which is something that I need to do consciously. Is keep in mind that telling and asking, because I think if I'm conscious about it, I'll do more asking than telling, because you never know if you're not aware of it. You know, how much are you telling and how much are you asking? You know, so that's something that I would definitely be keeping an eye on in terms of asking, you know, and understanding. I would just want to highlight, Fabian, is in terms of coaching is leading by example.
That's it.
You know,
very true.
Something in coaching, or myself as a facilitator, is that you operate on integrity, whether you believe it or not. It's a fact, and if you lose your integrity, you've lost the battle, because you cannot tell somebody something or advise somebody something or lead them in a certain direction of which you are not traveling yourself.
Yes. No, that's true. That is very true.
A quick example.
Sorry, excuse me.
I was just going to say, a quick example is that I know a few guys in the industry, you know, safety professional safety officers and so forth, that I have on saved as contacts on my phone, you know, and on WhatsApp, you know, they post statuses.
Yeah.
You know, traveling here, traveling there, and as they're traveling, they're recording videos, entering.
And they're driving.
So while they're driving, this is a safety professional.
Or recording themselves speeding at 200 kilometers an hour to show you how fast their car is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So all of these things, but obviously not aware of what they're actually doing.
That's true.
No, thank you so
How
much.
are they leading by example? No, thanks a lot, Damon. I always appreciate your time and efforts and always your participation in this. Much appreciated, brother. Anybody else, please? You can go ahead. Any questions or comments? Any polls? I hope
From my side,
sorry, Manas. I was just saying, I hope that I put the lights on some people's intrigue when it comes to coaching, that they're quite interested in looking at going further into this process and upskilling themselves in this area of coaching as well. You can go ahead, Manasseh.
Right. No, I was just saying, just appreciating, the moment and the time for this insightful, so shall I say, program that you came up with, the coaching and so forth. I think, as you highlighted, that it's not only, you cannot only use this in a professional level, but you can use it as well in your private capacity in terms of families and life-wise.
Yes,
so
yes.
it's a very good information that we got here. However, I just have a question on on the coaching point of view. Taking it from I think it's Saeed, one of the attendees there, that mentioned about instructions and so forth. My question is, how do we address into an organization, right? Instructions by coaching. How do we address that? Because when you instruct, as we saw in the video, there's one instructor, there's another one who was just express yourself. So how do we address instructions by a certain organization to the workforce? That would be my question.
I think it's not an easy or one question answer that you can think of, but I think we need to obviously start by educating the management of the companies as to the benefits of coaching and what it can do for the organization. Because obviously it needs to start with them. If the head likes the concepts and the idea, which I've seen within my own company that I'm currently working for here, for Lindy, it started with the management, and they went on these courses once they experienced a bit of information that was shared with them, and they started developing their own intrigue or curiosity in coaching, and eventually it became a company culture that is now being done around the whole world, literally around the whole world. So it's something, Manasseh, that I feel is where we need to start as safety professionals, is to educate our management, our relevant company bosses, etc., and make them understand the benefits of coaching. Ask them to try it out, give it a try and see what the benefits can be for an organization. You can show them the example of the video of Sir John Whitmore as well, and make them understand the differences between mentoring, teaching, all the different interventions, and then we look at obviously the coaching and how it can be so impactful if done in the correct way. So I hope that I've tried to answer your question as much as I could there. I see Lucia has a hand up. Lucia, you can go ahead.
Hi, Fabian. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Lucia.
I just wanted to ask the question that is there a difference between mentoring and coaching?
Yes, if you saw in the one of the first slides that I put up, I think you joined us a little bit later. You will clearly identify that there's a difference between mentoring. If I can go back to the slide for you on the different interventions, we call them, right? So, okay, so this is the different types of intervention. So if you look at mentoring, it says it is advice, training, and knowledge transfer. So that is the difference between somebody that is mentoring somebody, like we have our mentors and our candidates even in the SACP CMP processes, right? So the mentor is seen as somebody with experience more than the candidate. So they want to transfer their knowledge, they want to train that person, and they want to advise them as much as possible so that that person can understand the processes and get developed to become a safety officer, manager, or agent, whatever, on their own. Whereas in the coaching processes, as you will see, the coaching deals with goals, strengths, potentials, insights, and action. It is unlocking that person's potential within themselves, making them aware of the situation or the goal within themselves that they want to achieve, and you nudge them along the process to get them to get to that goal. And that's ultimately what you do. When you focus on people's strengths, you don't focus on people's weaknesses. So if a person is strong in your team in one area, you will push them and you will drive them and say, you know, you're so great at conducting toolbox talks or doing inductions. You know, you always focus on those strengths in that person, and then you highlight maybe an area and you say, but you might need to develop yourself in one or two areas. Where do you think you'd like to be developed in? Or where do you feel within yourself you might be lacking that you would like to progress to the next level within your career for your potential to be improved? And then the person starts looking within themselves and saying, hey, yeah, maybe, yeah, I need to get a bit better on computers, or whatever the case may be, my computer skills are lacking. Okay, if you've identified your computer skills are lacking, what you going to do about it? Now I'm going to go for extra lessons on the weekends, etc. Perfect, that's good. When you think you can start this process? No, I'm going to start it at the end of the month when I get paid. Okay, can we agree that you're going to come back and show me that you've registered, that you're doing this process? Yes, as I come. Then you've closed out the loop as far as that process is concerned. You understand of how you've co-created an agreement with that person, and you've gotten them to identify the gaps within themselves, and then you just nudge them along to say, okay, how you think you can fix that problem, or what you think you can do better, how you can do it differently. You know, that's what coaching is about. And that's how people become self-aware and accept accountability for the action, because why? It is me, it is I that has brought up the concern for myself. I picked it up. You didn't tell me that I need to go for computer lessons. I figured it out on my own. So that's why it becomes personalized, and people actually, you find that people will do it more than if you tell them what to do.
All right.
Thank you, Lucia.
Thank
you. Anybody else? Nandi, I see your hand is up. Nandi?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. Hello to everyone.
Hi, Nandi, no problem.
Yes, I also wanted to say that it was a great learning for me in practice. So I wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Nandi. No problem. It's only our pleasure to help. Is
Yes.
there anybody else that would like to share before we close? I know we've gone over the 1 hour. We almost done 2 hours, but I think it was fruitful for everybody's time. So if there's anybody else that would like to share quickly or ask a question before I close the session. Nandi, I see your hand was up. Anybody else? Nobody else. Okay. Thank you. So without any further ado, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time this afternoon, for sharing this time with us. On behalf of HSE Connection Points as well, we thank you for this time and note that you are always connected. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.